everybody. Welcome to the Print Theory Podcast.
What's
I'm here
up?
with the crew.
What's up? What's up?
What's up, crew?
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 4.
Four? Really?
4.
Is it 4 already?
Episode number 4. I'm in charge of the board today, so technical difficulties to come. We have a very exciting guest today. Would the guest like to introduce herself?
My name is Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
What's
I
up?
am Dan's partner in crime in starting all of this
Oh, yeah.
print theory business.
Yep.
We're
Yeah.
excited to have Sarah
true.
on the
It's
pod
true.
today. We're filming in a new location back in Kingsburg, California.
go.
After 2 weeks of travel. And we're here in the shop in front of our spaceship.
Yeah.
So
If you guys have seen it, I don't know where, but you guys can see it.
It's right behind
Maybe
us.
not. You guys will.
It's right below on the screen if you're looking.
yes, take a look at the screen.
You're watching us on YouTube. Guys, we're on YouTube.
Ooh,
We
YouTube.
are on YouTube. We are throwing these up.
Yep.
So,
Make sure you subscribe.
yeah, get
Right.
subbed.
Subscribe, comment,
Subscribe.
like, share, all of the
Share.
things.
What's up, guys?
Yeah. Cool. Well, we have some stuff we're going to chat about today. Mainly going to have Sarah give a little bit about her story. We've heard Dan's side, but we want to hear Sarah's side now. We want to hear the truth.
Because I'm sure it's a different side. I'm sure it's
I
a different
kid,
side.
I kid.
It's a little
but
bit different.
No, Dan's just a little more reserved.
I lied
He's
the whole way.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you lied about
Just
gently
kidding.
placing your hand on the wall.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Too bad there's
Quite
no record
Gentle.
It was a
That-
shame if
that
there
was
was
before we
cameras.
had cameras in the shop. So it's word against word.
of that. Yeah.
It was open-handed. I do
Yeah, Sarah
remember this
confirmed
day.
today.
Wait,
Hands
what?
open, not a fist.
It
Wait,
was
what?
Open
open
slap.
It was
See?
She confirmed-
open-handed.
Okay.
Yes.
But she's
I
also,
know.
you guys are partners in crime, so she's covering for
true.
you. She's
That
covering.
day we were not partners.
Well, Sarah, you want to tell us about yourself? What you do here at Print Theory?
So I started at Print Theory as the printer.
Wow.
When we first started, I was
Wow.
I was the main screen printer when we first started, and now I do books and finances and just kind of do all the tax strategy, and
Big
all that
brainstorming.
fun stuff. And I handle projects, so like development projects for the business, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of Sarah's first job descriptions was poacher. She poached me to start working here.
was poacher.
Uh-huh. At the
Sarah
football
Murrieta,
games.
poacher.
Yeah.
That was one of my development projects.
Yeah, I was one of the first developments. Yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. Well,
Give a little more
give a
backstory.
little,
Give a little more
give a
backstory.
little-
What is the Print Theory story?
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. Okay, so how far back do we want to go?
Go all the way back.
All
Dan
the way
started from
back.
the beginning.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if I go all the way back, I'll go back just before Print Theory.
Okay. All right. Go for it.
So, years ago, gosh, I think I was only like 3 years out of high school, and I was a dishwasher at Selma Hospital. And at the time, Selma was, they were looking to buy Kingsburg Hospital. So I was working at Kingsburg, and I was thinking about this when I was preparing for this podcast. And this for me was like a pivotal moment that made me start pursuing more than just like a job, you know. So I was in the dish room one night, and Arlene Shipman walked in the dish room, and she said, some odd years ago, she goes, I was just like you with 2 little kids at home. And I was working, and I think she said she was in a dish room, and she said, she goes, somebody walked in there and told me I didn't have to stay in there. And she goes, I'm here to tell you, you don't have to stay in this dish room. And she's like, whatever you do, find a way out of this dish room. And I was like, wow. And it stuck with me. And so I kind of had this dream to own a business, but I had no idea what business like we would even end up in. And then I think Dan shared about having a vendor that did shirts for us, for our marketing clients. And so just one night we're driving through Selma, and I said, hey, like, what margin do you think he makes on these shirts? Because like we were getting them at such a good price. And Dan was, and I, at the time, I didn't even know how to screen print. Like I literally was like, how do they make shirts? Like, how do they get the
How
ink
do
on
my
there?
shirt get made?
And Dan was like, Sarah, they screen print them. And I was like, well, what is screen printing? And I went home.
I don't know.
No idea. So I went home and I looked it up and we watched a bunch of videos from Ryanette
There
of
you
Ryan
go.
Moore.
Shout
Like,
out Ryan.
Shout out
Yeah.
Ryan.
yeah,
Moore.
like almost looking like he was in a garage, like filming video of like manually screen printing. And so we watched a bunch of videos, bought this press. And so by this time I had transferred from one dish room to another dish room. And I was washing dishes at my aunt's
you didn't
restaurant.
stay in that dish room.
I did. I was washing dishes at her restaurant one day, and my cousin, he was a line cook, and he was like, he's like, hey, you know, my Uncle Tom bought this restaurant, and he's like, it has a screen printing press. Like somebody left it.
What type of restaurant was that?
I have no idea, but he wasn't using it as a restaurant. He was like turning it into it was like a shed or something or a storage place for him, but he couldn't get rid of it. And I had a cousin that lives in Oregon, and he was willing to drive it to Oregon. And then they drove it from Oregon to us because they were coming down for my grandmother's 80th birthday. And so we got this press and we put it in the garage and we paired it up with the one we had bought, which was much smaller. And we just started printing. And it was funny because at the time, Dan had a full-time job, and I'm pretty certain that his boss thought that he was like skipping out and screen printing in the daytime when he should have been working.
At that point,
'Cause
I
don't think he realized like I was the
Yeah,
one.
we didn't have an
printing.
office in Fresno anymore. The train had taken, the high-speed rail had taken our office. So I was working from home. So I was in one of the bedrooms all day.
Yeah.
All day.
Oh,
Our home was
dang.
the
Yeah.
office.
Wow.
So your
I
boss,
didn't
you
though.
can-
I kept
I can
it.
see that.
I kept it clean.
He kept his
Yeah.
hands clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like,
I
listen,
made sure I was
I'm
like,
not doing
I
it.
can't help you. I'm sorry. I'm working. You know.
No, it was
It was- I was
he
very
was
smart about
very
it.
religious about like I'm on shift, and when my day is done, then I'll come
go
out and
there.
help.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's
I was
respectful.
so
I
eager
understand that.
to learn. Like I enjoyed screen printing. And, who would have thought that like, we just thought, oh, we'll do this as like a side gig, make a few extra bucks. And within 3 months, it was clear. I mean, we were staying up watching the sunrise printing. And so at that point, and then I was leaving and going back to the dish room at my aunt's restaurant. And it just became very clear, like there was no way to maintain working during the day, staying up all night working. And the business was going to replace my income. I was going to be able to transition. So within a few months, I wasn't working. I quit working at the restaurant, and we were just like full time in the business. And by the end of the next year, we kind of got to a crossroads where Dan had to decide if he was going to stay at his job or if we were going to go full time. And we knew that we could do it. It was just a matter of making that transition. So Dan decided at the end of that year that he would come on and we were going to just focus on the business full time. And so we did. So January of that next year, we were like all in. And I think by the end of that year, we had decided we needed to buy a press. And
Automated press or like a manual press?
well, we were kind of trying to debate between the two. And I think we felt like the financially smart decision was to buy a manual setup because everything we had was so inefficient. When I
old.
say like, we were like Jimmy in everything.
Jimmy and this, Jimmy and that.
Everything was
Jimmy
just
here,
like
Jimmy there.
just trying to get it
Jimmy
to work
everywhere.
right. So we thought the financially smart thing to do was buy a manual setup, and we thought we'd get enough efficiency out of that we wouldn't, we would be able to get orders out on time. And so we went to the show, and I think probably this is where
Which is
like
Impressions? Or you guys went to Vegas?
we went
It
to
was at
Vegas.
ISS.
ISS.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was SGIA.
Oh,
Yeah, it was in
Well, that's
in October.
where we bought it. But then that was in January. We went to the ISS show in Long Beach, which is now Impressions.
Which at the time, like, we didn't even know they made automated presses. Like,
I
we
remember
walked in
Dan
and we were like,
saying
"Oh my gosh, it does the ink
There's a
for you."
machine for that.
We didn't even know this existed.
Yeah.
And so, we wanted an auto because they print, the volume they can print is just unmatched. And so the following October is when we went to SGIA. And so I think this is probably, for me, kind of one of the bends in the story where I felt like I always felt like the Lord was with us on this journey. And I always felt like it was a God journey. But this was the point which I knew, like, oh man, God's breathing on this for us. Like, it was a big deal. So we go to the show and we went to negotiate on an auto. And at the time we had a bid that was just way too high. Like, there's no way we could swing it. And so we thought, well, hopefully we can get a show special and hopefully we can get a little bit more on our financing. Like, we'll just try to get this thing done. So we sit down, we negotiate for 3 hours. Shout out to Brian Richards. Such a good guy. Such a good guy. And I don't think I've bought...
Sorry. For Brian.
Yeah, for Brian. I don't think I've bought anything for like a Rockwise that hasn't been through Brian. He's amazing. He's our guy there. And so
we saw him at Impressions this year.
Oh,
He
yeah.
did say hi.
Yep.
Said hi.
So we sit down and we negotiate for like 3 hours and we just can't make ends meet. So it was funny because at the table we were sitting at, well, let me back up a second. Before we left, I really felt like that night the Lord spoke to me the night before we left to Vegas that we were going to get a rock.
I was dead set on a manual.
He was
You were
set on a
dead set on a
manual.
manual?
Dead set. I was like, we can't even afford that.
We can't even afford us.
It was a really cool big manual that, like, just beefy manual.
Yeah.
He was like, I want a beefy manual.
Yeah. So Dan had a photo on his phone that was sentimental to us. And we go in this show, we sit down at the rock table, and I'm like, okay, Lord, like, I felt like you said we're supposed to buy a rock. So here we are. We sit down, and this exact photo is hanging from the convention wall. And when I say they printed it, and it's like 50 feet tall by probably 30 feet wide, it is an enormous canvas hanging from the wall of that photo. And I was like, okay. I just felt like that was God saying, like, you're right where you're supposed to be. It was a lion.
A lion?
Yeah, you'll have to, you should have to get a picture.
You're going to
and
have to you're going to throw it on the podcast.
Look on the screen below and you'll
make
see.
sure the producer does it.
Nate, he's going to make sure he gets it to you.
So we're sitting there and it just doesn't go well. And I'm thinking, man, did we miss it? Like, did we miss it? And so we sit up and Dan's like, we have to try to negotiate on a different brand. Like, maybe it's just not this brand. And I'm thinking, man, I must not have heard the Lord right. And so, so we go down to another booth, we negotiate there, and we come back with a bid. And we're like, okay. I was like, well, maybe I heard wrong. Maybe it's not a rock, but for sure we're going home with an auto. And I was so excited because I had been pushing ink for, at that point, about 1.5 years.
You're like, I'm sick of it.
Well, I really do love the industry and I love the craft, but
It's a lot of work.
It's exhausting physically, and there's just only so much, like, physically that you can take. And I knew that we could sell thousands of shirts. I wasn't sure that I could print thousands of shirts.
Yeah. What were we printing on a manual?
On a
many
manual,
shirts?
I got us up to where we were printing 100 shirts an hour.
But that's like super.
And that was
fast.
like me ripping like as fast as I
And that's
could.
like only you. Or like you and Dan when he was helping.
So
sometimes that was a double, depending on how many colors.
She would put the shirt on, swivel it. I would do the ink. And then, but she was just, I'm like trying to put the shirt on, trying to make it straight, taking it back off.
She's
trying
like,
to get it perfect. She had it like, whoop, there you go.
There it
She
is.
said, whoop, there it is.
So we come back to this booth, and I tell, Brian's standing next to Chris Tozier, who was our finance guy, and he's like, wait. And I was like, Brian, dude, it's not even the same ballpark. Like, I don't know what to do. I want a rock. I want the green robot, but I can't
want the
afford
green.
it. And so
But I'm going to have to go.
Brian's like, okay, hang on. So this is kind of another layer to this story, is that the week prior, before we left, I had went to a parent teacher conference with our son's first grade teacher. And she asked me, she said, Luke tells me nobody's reading at home with him. And in that moment,
Dang.
you know, when a
Oh
teacher
my gosh.
and you're like, oh, okay, am I going to lie about it? Or we're like, oh, we read all the time. I don't know what he's talking about. And I was like, no, I'm not going to lie. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? I go, nobody is reading at home with Luke right now. And I said, I am working 15 hours a day and I can't read with my son. And
That
I
must
said,
have been
we're trying to
heartbreaking
figure it out.
in that moment. Oh my gosh.
It was, but when I had while we were negotiating on the Rock, when we had first arrived at the show, I had shared that story with Brian. And I told him, I said, look, dude, I had to sit in a parent teacher conference and admit to my son's teacher that I'm not reading with him. And I go, I got to go home with something that buys my life back a little bit because our sons need us. And Ryan Moore, who owns Ryanette, he has 3 little boys. And he was like, just hang on. Let me go talk to Ryan. And Ryan came over and he was kind of talking to Brian. We could see them talking. And he just looked at him and said, dude, just do whatever it takes. Like, just find a way to get him a press. And they did. They found a press that they could fit into the price range that fit our needs. And we went home with a Rock. And that was the point when I knew, like, man, we were going in there. I mean, it was like 3 times the cost. And the approval we had going into that show was for a manual setup. So it's 3 times the cost of a manual setup to go auto.
Goodness.
So it was literally just like one miracle after another. And we get home.
You couldn't just buy the Rock. We had to get a dryer.
Yeah, you
We
have to
had
get
the
everything. You can't
exposure
just
unit, all the
the
stuff
flash
that
and
comes with
comes
it.
with it.
Yeah.
So
you can't. I mean, if you can get a
packaged.
press that prints 500 shirts an hour, but your dryer doesn't dry them,
Yeah.
then you're just stuck. And so it was a lot of equipment. And so then the next hurdle was we got home and we had no power.
Okay, listen, we got it now, but we can't
So
power
we were
it.
like, okay,
Where do we
we're
plug
gonna
it
find
in?
a building. We're gonna get some. We're just gonna do some modification. Like, it'll be okay.
I think I remember right around this time when you guys were saying that, when you guys were looking at the downtown place.
Yeah.
Yep. It was kind of right around that time. So I'm home one night and it's been like 2 weeks. We can't get PG&E to call back on because we applied for a permit to increase the power to our house. We can't get them to call back. We can't get an electrician to come out and meet us. And Dan at this point is like, what are we going to do? Like, we have this piece of equipment. And once I sign on this dotted line, like, that's it. We had one signature left to sign before they shipped the equipment. And so we were getting really nervous. And I just said, Dan, I go, this is kind of where, like, for me, I was like, that show and getting that deal to me was a Red Sea moment for us because we literally were like, the business would have died. I don't think we would have made it without an auto. And so we had to cross over, and God just split the seas and we crossed over. And then here we are on the other side. And I was like, we have no power and we're going to die again,
She was in the desert.
And
She's
we're in the desert. We're going to die out here. What'd you take us out here for? And so I was like, this is where we have to look back there and ask ourselves, like, was that God or not?
Yeah.
And we couldn't, even when we took all the emotion and all the stuff out of it, and we just looked at how many things that had to happen that were like total miracles for it to even get to the point where we could have an auto. Once we did that, we were like, no, this is the Lord. And so 10 o'clock the next night after he signs on the dotted line, an electrician shows up to our door.
10 at night.
10 at night.
Yeah.
Shout out Jose Sanchez from JDS Electric. Came to our door and I told him what I needed. And I just said, look, I don't know if you can help me with this, but I mean, this is what I need. And he was the only person that looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, I can get you that. No problem. And I was like, Was this guy a miracle man or what?
Shout out,
you know,
Jose.
but
That's
he
awesome.
did. He did. He was there the next week. Power got installed. The week following, they
I mean,
came
he
and
had PG&E come out
Yeah.
like himself, and they pulled wire from the pole to
Yeah.
our house. Like they had to
Whoa.
replace.
And I mean, to give
'Cause it
some
was a lot of
perspective to
power.
that, this was a new construction building that sat here for a year, fully completed with no power. Couldn't get the power connected to the building. And so, like, we were just in line for that. And so to get them to come out
To your
that
residential
fast,
in your
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah,
that, you know, it was just wild. And
we
so
had a lot of amps.
I bet.
we had a lot
A lot of amps. We cannot disclose how many amps.
For legal purposes, we cannot
Oh,
disclose
man.
how many amps we were getting.
So at that point, I think for us, I think that's where like God started developing me, like being a little bit more fearless. Like I was like, okay, Lord, if you tell us to do this, or if we feel like you're leading us this way, we'll wait for confirmation, and then we're just going to go.
We're going to be like that
Because
lion picture. you
We've
guys saw.
seen God do something that's just crazy.
Dang.
And so, yeah, that's kind of like my personal story, I would say.
And now we're here.
And now we're
Now
here.
we're here.
Mhm. I would say that lines up with Dan's pretty well.
That's,
Your
it's a little
facts
more
align.
descriptive, but your facts align.
Yeah, more descriptive, in depth.
It's more.
I gave like an
Lengthy.
overview.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You gave like a Cliff
That's
Notes
cool.
version.
yeah.
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 Well, you bought that rock. You pushed ink for all those years.
Mm-hmm.
What was your biggest print fail? The people
Oh.
want to know.
The people want to know.
The people are dying to know.
And the people are the people in this room.
Okay.
I prepped you for this question, so you knew you had to come with some.
You
Some
prepped her
material.
for this?
I knew
Yeah.
I knew
Supposed to be
I
a-
knew she was
Yeah,
yeah.
come on.
I was
It an
ready.
inside scoop.
I was
So okay, so mine is actually not a print fail; it's a stitch fail.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
We'll allow it.
early on I think in our first year where we were like full time, there was a company called Fresh Select. They're still here in the Valley of the Fruit Company. They asked us to do a mock-up of 6 different hat designs. And so they had a bunch of branding done that was really trendy, really looked awesome. And they wanted us to just make, put different logos on different hats and just kind of see different combos. And so we made these 6 hats, and they ended up picking 2 of them, and they did hundreds of these things. And so I think the first one was like 300 and 300
I think
of
so.
each SKU.
Yeah,
That's a great order.
with one machine.
Yeah.
I was gonna
With
say,
one machine.
With one
That's a solid
embroidery
order.
machine.
Yeah.
Yes, there was
Took
one embroidery
weeks.
machine at the time. One hat at a time. And
Oh,
so a year later, they called and they said, hey, we want to reorder these hats. And mind you, at this time, we didn't have our software. So I couldn't go in and look at a mock-up and be like, okay, that's the ones that we went with. And so in my mind, I was like, okay,
Yeah, we didn't have Printavo. We had the digitizing software, but not Printavo.
We didn't have an
Not the
invoicing
Printavo,
system.
yeah, we didn't
or
have the
a picture.
mock-ups.
back,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We-
Which
we-
one did they do?
The
Yeah.
trusty,
I don't
the trusty
know.
method of I'll remember when I go to do
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
order
That is
what
never
they
was
asked
true.
for.
And, our embroidery machines, they save the images in the machine. And so, we didn't, at this time, like we hadn't had like a ton of embroidery business because that was a wing of the business that we were still really developing.
Yeah.
We had developed the print and it was moving, but embroidery like wasn't fully developed yet. So I go into the machine and it'll save 100 designs, and I see all the Fresh Select stuff that we did in there. And I'm looking at these and I'm like, yeah, it was
You guys didn't
it was
take
this
one picture? Not one?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, we did. We took pictures, but
Oh,
we had
okay.
pictures of
All
all
of them.
6
Oh, I
samples.
see.
We had pictures
Yeah.
of the ones we did.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So no help. No help.
No. So I go in and I'm looking at all these images and I'm like, okay, it's this one. I had the backs of the hats correct, but it was the fronts that I was like, what design did we put on that color of hat,
Mm.
So we get one of our staff members, our early staff members, Katerina Quintana.
Hey.
She's there and she's running these hats for me, and she gets like almost 100 hats in. We're almost done with the reorder on that one SKU, and I go down to Deli Delicious to pick up a sandwich, and this guy walks in and he's wearing a Fresh Select hat, and it is not the
Not the right
design
one.
we stitched.
And it hits
And
you.
I
Oh,
just
man.
got sick.
I was gonna say, did you lose your cookies? I would have lost them.
I didn't
My
even
cookies
eat my
would've been
sandwich.
gone.
I was
She just dipped out and just
I
booked it
got the
straight back to the
sandwich.
shop.
I
To
drove
the house.
home. And I'm like, Kat, stop stitching these hats. And she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, they're all wrong. And she felt so bad. And I was like, no, not because of you. Because
They're all wrong.
And then I hit the wall. No, I'm just kidding.
Punched straight through the wall.
Punched straight through the wall.
So I was like, okay. So we reorder the hats. We get them in, and she comes the next week and she's restitching them. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to just double check with Mandy. Like, which do it? Like, can you just send me a screenshot just to make sure that I don't screw up the other SKU too? She sends me a picture. It's the wrong design again.
Whoa.
So
What?
here's the ironic
Was that
thing.
guy wearing a sample? Or?
He was wearing one of the
Oh my
4
gosh.
hats
Ah.
that we did not end up going with. That was an original sample, the only one of its
Sarah.
kind,
Man.
the only one.
What?
He's wearing the hat,
like, it's gotta
and
be this
I
one.
mean, when I tell you, Dan was like, "What are you doing?"
That
And so-
hurts.
It was
That's a bad
painful.
one.
Oh, that's right.
It was
Oh
painful.
my gosh.
Yeah.
So
So
you did
we-
them a third time?
We redid them, and then I reached out to Fresh Select and I explained to
Oof.
them like
Big oof.
what happened. And I said, look, I have, your leaf. I mean, you can't sell it. It's got somebody's leaf on it, and their leaf
Yeah.
is unique, and it, it's their leaf. So I was like, I'll sell you these hats at cost if you want them. Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and toss them so that,
Oh, man.
you can't reuse them. And so they were like, oh, yeah, we'll take them. So it ended up being okay.
Yeah, it was okay.
Dang.
They redeemed us, but definitely that was probably my biggest print fail.
And they were
That's
fine
rough.
after? They were really understanding?
Well, we still fulfilled the
We made it
order
right. Yeah.
See, that's-
to order.
We made it
ordered
right.
again,
They
and we
bought
fulfilled the correct order.
extras. Yeah. So it wasn't
There's
like,
just a little more you had to eat on the back end than you would have liked.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
A lot
But,
more.
Wow.
well, at least it wasn't like terrible.
That's
and
a
that
doozy.
hats were like a nice cost back then.
Wow. That's a doozy.
Yeah.
I'm glad it wasn't me.
And
I'll be
it had
I'll
to be
be
on like the lowest capacity machine we had. It had to
Yeah.
be the embroidery machine where it's it's going to take 10 minutes a hat. There's nothing you can do.
So how long so then even with those mistakes, how long did the customer end up having to wait? And granted, they were like cool with it. Did they have like doing 200-300
Start to
hats?
finish.
Start to
that
finish.
entire-
Yeah.
How long would that take on that one machine?
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah, it took a long
That's the
time
thing,
to
like-
do stuff.
We just would work all night.
Yeah.
And that
That's
was
true.
the
That's
privilege
true.
of having, it in our garage when
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
started is
Well-
that we could do that.
You guys used to take the machines home, even when we were here.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
for
What
real.
about that?
No, that's
So,
true. Yeah.
During Christmas time, because we needed the machine to run 24 hours to even make the deadlines.
They're doing big math. Okay.
Yeah.
And so-
doing 25 hours a day.
I took the machine. We would load up the machine, put it in the car, take it home, set it up in one of the rooms. We moved the kids into the other room, and just it ran all night. And so I set my timer because I think we were doing patches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they would be running for like 20,
2 hours at a
30
time.
minutes,
Yeah.
2 hours, just depending on how many. And then we'd keep an eye or ear out because we'd get thread breaks or whatever.
Yeah.
But
You can't just sleep through
We
the
would
whole
take
thing.
shifts because like your worst nightmare would be that when you have 3 days left before Christmas and you wake up and you realize the thread broke like right when you
2
fell
minutes
asleep.
into the design.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then like nothing's done.
Yeah.
And so we
Oh,
would
man.
take shifts just making sure the
our
machine
kitchen was
running.
full of patches and just embroidery stuff everywhere. It's just, oh man.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was the year we didn't decorate for Christmas because we just had like
Because you were decorating
Yeah, we
for Christmas
decorated.
in another way.
Yeah. Literally.
You're decorating. Yeah. This Christmas is the first year that it hasn't been like very painful till the end. Last year we had to come back and work after our Christmas party.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
This year we didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I
I was
call
so
that
proud
a
of you
win.
guys.
Mhm. You know how we fixed it? We did the Christmas party earlier.
Yeah. So
It's true.
it's true.
yeah.
But
Very
it
smart.
worked.
But we still ended. Yeah. Still ended
I
good.
feel we had a lot of time off this year. End of
did,
last
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
end of 2023.
For
into
sure more
2024.
time than the last.
Than we ever have
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Good
Appreciate
stuff.
you guys.
Well, We've all talked about our print fails. I wanted to ask, in this past year, 2023, what was everyone's print success? What was your favorite project that we did?
Ooh,
Doesn't have to
favorite
be
project.
favorite or most surprising or most fulfilling. Anything in that vein. I have mine, and I feel like someone might take mine, but I'll let y'all go first.
No. Take yours because I
No,
need to
no,
think
no.
about it.
I got to think.
we
I
wanna
gotta think
know.
about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll say mine. Everyone's going to be very surprised to hear this because I did not enjoy it during the process. But the Pelicans trailer that we did, shout out Pelicans.
Dang.
Photo on the
Pelicans,
screen.
Kingsburg.
Yeah.
Mike, what's up?
Let's go.
That was hard, but afterwards it was so cool that it was worth it.
Yeah,
Trailer was
totally.
So
Yeah.
we took this old horse trailer.
Remember, you guys were mad at me.
I was gonna say, I'll be honest, Daniel and I did not want to do this.
I was
at
like,
all.
guys, we got a
we
horse
were like,
trailer.
Brandon, we can't.
I was with you. the
Yeah,
whole
Sarah and
Yeah, I know
Brandon
you
were
were.
on,
You always
were
are.
on
Only with
Team
you.
Pelicans trailer, but we were not convinced at all. Old horse trailer, like super beat up. It was like rounded on one side and then tapered on the other. So
it was
it
an old
wasn't
horse
even like
trailer,
a
yeah.
standard like rectangle trailer shape. And we completely wrapped the whole thing, painted the trim, did all the edges, did all the detailing and everything. And we did it in August. And for those of you who don't know, our wide format side is not
Air conditioned.
cooled, heated, or insulated.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
Like a
insulated,
warm
but it's not.
blanket.
It's not
It's
cooled
a
or
warm
heated.
blanket. It's like a heated
We
warm
call it our
blanket.
warm blanket in the summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that project was hard, but I think we learned a lot. It was really fun.
And it came out so
Came
cool.
out so sick, like
Yeah.
a full color logos, top to bottom wrap, and
We'll try and throw pictures up on there.
yeah,
Mhm.
got spray paint to match, painted all the edges, type of thing.
And it was the first wrapped Pelicans trailer in the West Coast, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
awesome.
We
It
got
was
the
sweet.
opportunity to do that. Thank you, Mike.
And then we saw it
Yeah.
at all the football games after that. So
That
it
was
was totally
cool.
worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so worth it.
Yeah.
But in the moment,
I was like looking at it over there. I'm like, man, that looks smaller. It
Yeah.
seemed like really big in our garage,
It
but
seemed really
or
big.
in the wrap bay. But
mhm.
It was in your minds. Like,
yeah,
This is a big
I
project.
think it was a big project.
It
Yeah.
was. I think that project, it was the details
Mhm.
that got us. But I mean, I'm down for a hard project. And I know I'm going to suffer in the process, but I
Yeah.
know at the end,
I
it'll
was
be
not
so
down.
cool. It'll be like, all right.
Tears were shed.
And it is.
Tears were
Tears
shed.
were shed. That's for sure.
both
But it was
both
worth
sad
it.
and mad
I
tears.
remember on like the night before we finished, Sarah was like, "We'll just come in the morning," and I was like, "Can we just finish now?" I was like, "Can we just sleep
Let's not
tonight,
come- let's not
knowing
come
it's
back."
done?" But we had to come
I
back.
feel like the first hour the next morning, we just kept walking around the trailer looking at it like it's over. we completed it.
Yeah.
There was a lot of nooks and crannies.
Mm-hmm. We had to go in with like a super fine paintbrush, dipped in spray paint to get like all of those corners of like the hinges and stuff because
Yeah.
everything was just so rusted over. You couldn't just spray
Yeah.
paint it.
Or you can
Yeah.
wrap it.
Yeah.
Because it would just come off.
Well, and then sealing the edges with the clear coat. And
Mhm.
there was a lot of edges because
lot of
you
edges.
couldn't, the way that we did it, you couldn't just do it all in one big wrap sheet.
Those pieces, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much wet paint. The kids running in asking if they could touch it, look at it.
Yeah. Don't
No.
touch
Don't
it.
Stay away.
do that.
My funnest thing this year, my funnest project, which is not so much a customer project, was getting the north side of the building built out and getting all of our new equipment installed. So we purchased all new
So
screen
cool.
printing equipment last year at ISS, and all of it was installed in March, just after developing the north side of the building and then adding the additional power that was needed for that equipment. But I think, we went last year when we went to the show, we had no expectation that we were going to leave with a full new set of equipment. But I think, after collaborating, it was clear it was needed for the amount of growth that we were projecting, which we did attain, which is so cool to
Yep.
take a
Mhm.
risky swing at something and have it come through for you. So that was awesome. But yeah, I think it was really awesome to see the whole shop fully built out and have all the processes in place that we had designed and because even when we moved in January of last year, but we still hadn't even we didn't have our dark room set up. There was just areas we were still kind of
Yeah.
Yeah,
hopping
it was
back
Our
kinda
and
plumbing
forth.
wasn't done on
Yeah.
that side.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Our wide format wasn't back up
Forgot
and
about that
running.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see all the components that we do in the whole shop up and running and in the process that we had designed for, the last 2 years, because we'd worked on this building for 2 years. So that was really cool.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, you want me to go? I'll
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, you go.
Okay. All right. So my most memorable job, I'm debating between two, but I'll say this one. This was for a major corporation named Amazon. Some of you may know.
Uh-huh.
They just opened up one of their new big warehouses in Visalia. If you guys know where that's at, you know. And is their new thing, and they contracted us to basically put up wrap all over their front entranceway where all the workers are going to be going in. So they were like, "Can you guys wrap all of this?" And also, we have a really big wall that is like 25 feet up in the air that spans
50 feet.
50
Yeah, I was gonna say
feet. It was a
45.
long,
Yeah, it was
long wide, and like everyone also has to, after they check in, they have to walk through it, and they're like, they wanted to say like welcome, bienvenidos, and then they wanted a bunch of stuff for their warehouse on the front, and I was like, yeah, we can do that, and we all believed we could, and we did. It was so long though.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it was really long. It was like a full front display of window graphics, vinyl
Yeah.
on the windows, like
and they span their
3
whole,
sets of
their whole
doors or
entranceway.
something. Yeah, and
Yeah.
all of
4.
the windows, 4 sets of doors, and then that huge wall overhang thing.
We had to rent a boom lift
Yeah.
and everything, and it took all day. I remember, didn't we get there at
It
like
took-
6 in the morning?
I
6:30
think
in
we
the morning?
finished around
Yeah.
12, like 11, 12, I think we finished.
thought
Yeah,
it was
I think
later
it
than
took
that.
like 6 hours. I think.
Yeah.
I thought
Maybe
we
it was
said
more
it took
12
6
or
hours.
1. Maybe
Yeah.
12 or 1 or something.
And then we went to go eat at Fugazi's afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was
We were just quiet.
We were
best.
just
It was-
silent.
we were so tired.
Silent.
It's the best lunch.
so
ever.
hungry.
Yeah.
Sarah and I
hungry,
get
so
up on the lift and they ask us where our safety equipment is. It does not exist. So we have to borrow some of
Safety
theirs.
gear.
Not allowed to be 30 feet in the air without a harness, apparently.
This is my boom lift that I rented. You gonna tell me how to use my lift?
So we strapped each other up. We put it over our like hoodies and jackets that we were wearing because we were just trying to strap up as fast as we could. And then we start sweating and we're like, well, we're not going to take it off now.
We're
So,
sweating and
I guess-
our harnesses were kind of too tight.
Yeah.
And so like as we're holding up the graphic, we're actually like
man.
having to like hold the harness up too. And
Those things are like 30 pounds
they are
each. They're
so
really heavy.
Dang, no wonder
We
no one
left,
uses safety
and I
equipment.
would say I got the best core workout I've
Yeah,
had
I
in
was
a long
exhausted
time.
after that.
Oh man. But
was
it
fun,
was
though.
so rewarding to step down and be like, wow. And I think one of the really cool things about that job was that it was at a same day warehouse, which when they came out and we were like, can we take a picture of it? And they were like, no, you can't, because the racks behind were
Yeah.
proprietary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
They wouldn't
yeah, I
allow
forgot
our
about
social
that.
media guy in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
I-
forgot about that. Dang, I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that made me feel like, wow, this is a really special project, that they would trust us with it, but also that they would even let us in here because everything in there was so, confidential, all that racking system and stuff.
It was cool.
really cool.
And they needed
Yeah.
it quick. They needed it done that day because the next day was
They were
they were
opening
they
for
were
They're
open
employees.
opening, yeah.
for their employees, and so I thought it was really cool. I went back the next day, and there was like the mayor of Visalia was there, and the fire chief and the police chief and everything. And they had these big old balloons. They had a DJ, and it was really cool to like see everyone and just like kind of walking around and hearing everyone like, wow, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. That's one of my most memorable.
Yeah.
One of my most
Cool.
memorable. Go,
Yeah.
Dan. I may have another one, but go for it.
I would have to say the project that I liked. Well, one of them, because I liked a lot
There's
of
a lot
the
of good projects last year.
There's a lot. I would say the rebranding of the police, Selma Police cars,
PD. Yeah.
Selma PD, working
You
with
worked a
Chief
lot.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that we just took his what he envisioned, and then we kind of worked on it, and then we actually have started wrapping the vehicles,
The squad vehicles.
Yeah, we've done a few already. We did some gator carts. That was fun.
The go-karts. That was
And
fun.
those,
Okay, got to tell the story on that. You got to tell the story on those after you're finished. After your thought.
Well, I'll just say it right now.
Thought finished.
So we took these gators on, and we're still learning wrapping, right? And there's like 90-degree turns on the angles on this.
They're like
vehicle.
sharp golf carts.
Yeah.
Like pointy golf carts.
Yeah.
They're like really cool looking golf carts.
Really cool, yeah. But
Uh-huh.
again, we're thinking like, okay, there should be no seams. There's like it's one continuous wrap, right?
Just take the wrap
Yeah.
and just put it over. How hard could it be?
How hard could it be?
It was pretty hard. I mean, we did get half of the side done, and then we're like, maybe we should call for some help. So we got some help. And
There's no shame in calling for help.
and these guys came in, and they're doing it, and so I'm kind of keeping an eye watching, seeing tricks and all that stuff. And I'm like, wait, you can put seams? And he's like, oh yeah. He goes, you can't do this without seams. I'm like, okay,
We
so
tried.
that makes it. We tried.
Dan's like, oh yeah. I was just testing
for
you.
sure, yeah.
Totally, of course.
He's like, actually, you can.
Yeah.
It's just going to take 15
takes a
hours to
lot,
do a
yeah.
12 by 12 square.
Takes a lot longer. And so they did kind of the front, we did the back after seeing that, and we got that project done. And then we had to drive them the next day
Early
at
in the morning.
6 a.m., I believe.
Before the sun
That
came
was
up.
that was a 1 a.m.er. I think
Yeah.
we were in the shop till like 1:30.
Yeah, we were
finishing that, and then y'all had to take them back at like 6 in the morning the next
Guys,
morning
that
on
was-
the freeway.
Honestly, that
For
was
me,
fun.
that was
so
From
much
Kingsburg
fun.
to
That was
Selma.
fun.
I remember Dan and then we're like,
I
all right,
slept
you're
through
gonna
that
come back.
excursion.
Yeah, hey, yeah, you did. But you get a pass because you were.
He
here
drives
till
by
1
Kingsburg
in the morning.
PD.
Yeah, it was
Illegally
so
driving a
crazy.
golf cart.
Yeah, because that was wild. So we were, we come in and the Dan's like, we're gonna come in at 6 in the morning. We gotta take it. It was before the sun came up, and so we come and we had just gotten into this building. It was right here actually before all the equipment was here.
Yeah.
And we get in and
Didn't one of them die?
yes, I
Yeah,
just
the
remembered
night
right
before.
now.
The night before, we tried to do
charged
this
one of
the
them.
night
Like
before.
1 block away.
Yeah, I get in one and we start going over here, and me and Dan both are driving it, and we get out to like the Kingsburg Business Park over here, kind of by T-Mobile, and I remember Dan like pushing it,
Dollar
and just
Tree,
stops,
yeah.
and he's like, "Guys, this is slowing down, and I don't know why it's not working." And then you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the Dollar Tree."
Yeah.
And we pull out into the main road, go over to the Dollar Tree, and Dan's like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna
It's
work.
not charged.
It's not charged."
No.
That was the night. It was the
was
night
the
before.
night before,
It was the night
yeah.
before, and so I had to call Chief and say, "Hey, Chief, I can either drop one because he was wanting them for an event that they were having at the police department because
Yeah.
they had a lot of the people from the city there, and so I had to call him during his party and be like, "Hey, I can bring one of them right now, but I can't bring two because the other one is in charge." And he was like, "Oh, no worries." So then you drop them off tomorrow morning early as you can because 7 a.m. they were needing them for the band festival
Yeah.
to use them for that band festival in the morning. And so it was really, really cold, and we drove them a lot on the main roads out through here off the old 99.
Yep.
And I remember driving it. I am so cold. My hands are in my pockets. Like I have like one hand on the steering wheel, and it is freezing. I have two hoodies on.
Yeah.
And I remember we're having fun though. We're
we're going.
dodging it for legal reasons. We were driving straight.
Both hands on the wheel.
Both
10
hands
and
on the
2.
wheel. Yeah. Let me just. Forget it. We were driving. We were having fun. I just remember me and Dan pull up in the same, like on to the red light. We pull up and we're both like this.
Shivering.
And we're
It's
like,
cool.
"Is it cold?" "It's cold." And we just went there. And granted, it was really, really fun. Who's calling? Sorry. It was really, really fun. That was
Yeah.
memorable.
Yeah.
Now that I remember that, when
It
you said-
did. So mine died. I got it across the street by Sonic, and then I had to push it the rest of the way
You had
back
to
to the
push it?
shop.
Oh, wait,
yeah,
yeah,
to the
right.
parking lot.
You're right. No, you're
You guys
right.
were like-
I remember
you
when
guys all left
I
me.
remember that.
Sweating.
You left
running up
me, and I'm pushing it, and I got it down the road here, and then you guys drove back and were like, "What happened to you?"
Why are you taking so long, Dan?
And I'm pushing it back.
I forgot about that. It's like, well, that's wild. All right, I'll see you back at the shop.
Yep.
Good times.
That was
Yeah.
funny, guys. We're funny.
Yeah. Those are some good ones.
Some good memories.
Yeah. It's been a big year. A very full year.
A lot of different
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Can I ask
sure.
Sarah a question?
Mhm.
Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
how? Because I asked, I think I asked this question a little bit, but it was without you, and I want to ask you with you here. How much of a load off has it been having Ryan on the team?
Oh, game changer.
I know it was hard. The training part
Yeah.
was hard on both of you, but like
Sarah
Actually,
loves to
again,
train
tears
people.
were shed.
loves to
She's
train
our
people.
official trainer at Prince.
We outsource her to train other people at other print shops.
Yep.
She loves it
Ryan
so
was
much.
was my easiest training process. I will say that.
Really?
And
That
I
is-
think it was probably largely because he had a love for the industry already.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I'm sure if you know Ryan, you know that when he's interested in something, he just goes
He
and
goes
like
in all,
YouTubes it, and he just like educates himself. And so I'm sure he had self-educated quite a bit before he came here. So he had knowledge and he had enough salve to jump in and really pick it up very quickly. But I think like for me, mentally, physically, it's I don't have the same life as I used to because Ryan is on the team.
Dang.
It was literally like a life adjustment for me because, you know, stuff has to go out. I mean, and I think too, like by the time Ryan got here, there was, you know, we'd worked 4 years building this company. And so there's just so much blood and sweat and tears. And I mean, literal blood.
Literal blood on this rock.
and
So
tears.
much hard
Mhm.
work to get the company to the point that it was that, you know, you won't let it fail. If I had to go back to printing through the night, I would do it until I got somebody in here. And so Ryan was just a big blessing. So yeah, shout out to Ryan for changing my life.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. Changed my life.
Changing
Changed
the game.
my life.
Yep.
Changed all of our lives.
It
I
did,
think.
yeah.
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 Gave me peace
Mhm.
of mind. Gave all of us peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Well, closing question. We ask this to all of our guests.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like boba?
I've never had boba.
Wait.
Mm.
Oh, you're
Well, if
right.
you tried it, you wouldn't like it.
No,
I can
you would
tell
love it.
I would love it.
You would
I
love
think.
it. Ask Danielle. She liked
No.
it.
Oh, she
I did not
liked
say
the
that I liked it. I liked the
milk
tea.
thing,
That's
right?
what the
I
boba
didn't-
comes in.
I know, but I didn't like the actual boba.
Yeah.
So on our last trip, we went to Long Beach this past weekend, as y'all know, and we did make a boba stop on
We did
Sunday
make a boba
for
stop.
Brandon and Ethan.
For Brandon.
So they can't say I never gave you nothing.
That's true. Dang.
No.
Just
I hear it's like
That's true, though.
tapioca, right?
It's tapioca balls, but
Yeah.
don't let that sway
It's
you.
squishy.
Let
Don't
that sway
But
you.
are
Yeah.
they bigger than tapioca balls?
What are tapioca balls regularly like?
Well, you said they're tapioca balls.
Yeah, but I don't know what a tapioca ball
Like
is.
the
unless
pudding.
Okay,
it's
so like tapioca pudding
They're
has like
bigger.
the little
Okay,
gelatin
it's not
balls.
like
They're
Yeah,
bigger.
I
pudding.
think so.
How much
yeah.
bigger?
It has
It's definitely not pudding.
Yeah, not pudding
Not
at
pudding,
all.
no. Worse.
I mean,
Worse.
is it like the size of a marble?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little
Yeah,
bit smaller. A
they-
little bit smaller.
Maybe a little bit smaller than a marble.
Okay,
I mean,
so let me
the
ask you
straw is
something.
really
They have to
thick.
enlarge in the straws
Yeah.
to get those
Enlarge
things
it.
through. So unnatural.
It's so what?
When you
So
drink
unnatural.
boba, do you
Yes.
chew?
Yes,
the
you got
little
to. That's
balls?
the
You
whole
have
thing
to
about
chew
it.
'em.
Yeah.
You chew them,
It's awful.
So
Chewy,
I think,
gooey.
but they're sweet.
I
and they
think
stick
I
to
would
your
like
teeth.
boba.
Mm.
I think you
I like
would.
tapioca.
I think you'll love it.
But the only thing is, like, if I eat a gummy
backfired.
bear or like a Mike and Ike, that thicker
That did
gummy gets
backfire.
stuck in my teeth.
Yeah,
You'd
they
like
stick to your teeth.
You're
Yeah.
gonna try it next time.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? There's a couple good places here in Fresno.
I think we should get boba for the next show, and everybody should drink some boba.
I agree.
Mm.
That's what me and Nate found the places. There's good places.
I think
there's
that's possible.
there's adequate places
Would
here in
I
Fresno.
want to do it? No.
You know, I'll do it. I'll say this. I'll do it for the pod if that's what it takes.
There you go.
There
To
you
keep
go.
this dream
Yeah.
going.
Good.
But I won't like
Then we'll
it.
do it.
Let us
I'll even
know
buy
if
it.
you want to see Danielle and Dan drink boba.
Yes, the anti-bobers.
Let's do a. If we get enough likes,
Do we want to
Right?
do that?
You'll drink a whole boba.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
While- during
Challenge. Then.
filming.
Challenge. Can I issue
Oh,
the
a whole
challenge?
boba
Challenge?
while
Can
we're
I issue the
filming?
challenge?
I'm
gonna issue the challenge.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
okay.
Guys, if this podcast gets 5 likes, they'll have boba. They will eat and drink boba.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I'm not going to like it. I'm going to send it to everyone I know and say, please do not like this post. Please
should do
report
it.
it.
Please report this
Report this post.
Report.
No, I'll try boba on the pod.
I'll try it.
Yeah.
But
You guys will like it. I
won't.
promise you. Sarah will love
I
it.
thought they tried. Didn't you guys?
They like
I
the
had
milk
like
tea.
half
But-
of one. I ate one of the little tapioca things, and I didn't like it.
Dan doesn't count.
Yeah.
He had Earl Grey.
I had
You had
Earl
Earl Grey.
Grey.
Does yours have
Right.
boba in it, though?
Boba. Yeah,
It did?
had
Yeah.
boba.
I
Did it?
tried one of the bobas, and
guess
I
it
didn't
does
like
count.
it. But I liked the tea milk. That was good.
The milk tea.
It was a little bit too milk tea.
My tea was good.
Was it extra sweet?
It was a little too sweet.
Mine
for
was
my
extra
liking.
sweet.
It was
Yeah.
called Sweet
was
Boba,
good.
right?
Sweet
Yeah, it was
Boba Co.
literally called
Yeah,
Sweet Boba Cafe.
Boba.
Or,
So
Yeah.
I think they make it sweeter.
Mhm.
goes on brand.
We all know who likes
But it was
extra
really good.
sweet.
Mhm.
I loved it.
Who
Extra sweet.
likes extra sweet.
It was a little.
Extra
It was really sweet, but it was good. Okay, we'll do boba next time.
All right.
Next episode, I'm
Yeah.
bringing boba.
Next episode.
We got to pick who we're going to. Like, it has to be a good place.
Okay,
Yeah.
boba pub.
All right.
You should drive
Boba pub.
down to LA and get the
Ooh.
famous boba.
The famous Almond Haas.
Ooh.
Heck yeah! If you guys will let me, I'll drive down to Almond Haas.
No,
Me
it's
and
okay.
Nate.
It's okay.
We will.
Business vehicle should not be used for boba purposes.
Nate, looks like we're driving the Scion.
Alrighty. Any closing comments? Any last notes?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
So if you're watching, we have this really interesting bottle here.
Oh yeah.
This
That rocked my world.
is a hydrogen maker water.
Look at
I don't
the-
know. What is
This
it?
is what Brandon needs. It's a hydro bottle.
It's a hydro
It's a
bottle.
look at that though. That just looks. That looks like like one of the things that they'd keep the squids in the aquarium in the Monterey Bay
Oh,
Aquarium.
yeah.
It's like a Star Wars water.
Yeah.
It's a Star Wars water.
So it takes like 30 seconds
Amplifies
or, a
your
minute, or
hydration.
3 minutes or something like that.
3 minutes.
Hydrogenates the water, right? Something
Hey
like
Dan,
that.
what are the
Something like that.
benefits of hydrogenated
Well,
water?
it's funny that you asked me because I know a ton about this stuff.
Did some
know.
light research right before we started
It's some
filming.
light research.
Makes you feel better, makes you look better,
Gives
makes
you
your
30
life longer.
Gives you
Yep.
37 carats.
There you go.
It's something like that. I'll have to.
Please no follow-up questions.
With no follow-up questions. And that is it. We're taking no more questions.
Yeah. But we thought maybe we'd show you that for your dehydration issues.
It's cloudy water.
Doesn't it make you want to
putting
drink
air.
it though?
No, but
Like-
earlier when it was cold, that was cool. If you would have told me that bottle also cools your drink,
It
I would
does.
have. I would have.
Mm.
See, there it is.
Water.
It's all done now.
Yeah.
Ready
does-
for
and you drink
consumption.
it.
Does that look appealing?
Drink within 30 minutes. Those are just
appealing? That
bubbles.
doesn't look appealing.
It's just bubbles.
It's not
like
foggy water.
fo-
It's
that's
just
foggy
bubbles.
water
See,
right
look,
there.
it's getting clear.
Never drink foggy water.
Never drink.
Don't do it.
Never drink foggy water for any reason,
Under any
Ever.
circumstances.
under any circumstances.
At any time.
All right,
Anywhere.
Well, guys, that was fun. Was that
Yeah.
fun?
Episode 4. Yeah.
Episode 4 in the books.
Thank you guys for listening.
You guys for listening.
Leave a
4.
comment down below.
Leave a comment down below. And if
Recommend us your favorite local boba place down
Yeah.
below if you
Yeah.
have opinions.
favorite boba. Also, if you are listening and you are a print shop or a manufacturer or an apparel brand, we want to hear your funny print fails. We know everyone has them. You guys could send them on in. You could just DM it straight to @PrintTheoryCo, our Instagram account or any of our socials. Boop, boop, boop. Send it on in. We want to hear. All right, guys.
Alrighty. Thanks,
Bring
you
us
guys.
out.